Yeah. Good folder. Well, another chair. While people are in the chair. The circle's my fault, sorry. You're allowed
It's actually really good. I love it.
I asked for the circle, I like it to be.
Well, we were exactly, we were gonna be a card in like each, but you got it pretty okay.
Okay. Everyone has pens, notes. Excited to be here. Maybe, thank you for having me. I like to start my classes with Tehillim. Do you guys mind? No pressure. So, well, if you have Tehillim on your phone, we'll do one I think that a lot of people could be familiar with, 121, Shir Lamalav. We'll discuss why in the class Tehillim is so powerful for parenting, for emotional and nervous system regulation. When I read Tehillim, I have learned not to just do it, but to I'm doing something, I'm saying something, but to experience it. Okay, you can. It's about our parenting. It's about how we're in relationship with God. Are we doing, or are we in relationship? Are we experiencing? Do you notice what's happening in your body when you're saying to Him? Okay? Thoughts. Does your breath change? Do your shoulders start to relax? These are things you can notice while we say it. Okay, so just pulling mine up. 121 cook olive. Shir Lamalod, Esrainai, El Haharim, Me'ayin, Yabo, Ezri, Meim, Adonai, Seshamai, Paretz, Alitain, Lamo, Rugaha, Aliunim, Shemrecha, Hine, Lo Yonum, Lo Yishan, Shemer Israel, Adonai, Shemrecha, Adonai, Silcha, Ayad Minacha, Lam Hashem, Shlo Yakeka, Lerev, Alayla, Adonai, Yishmarcha, Korah, Yishmor, Hashecha, Adonai, Yishmor, Tsecha, Olacha, Me'atabelo. Great. See, now some of my stage fright is gone. I've cooled my nervous system. I asked Hashem to help me. This is something I taught my daughter when she was really young. Whenever she felt afraid or nervous about something, we would say it to her. So we're here. How many? I'm just curious. How many people are here as parents? Okay. Some I know are here as professionals or educators, because what I'm going to talk about tonight really applies to any person in relationship with another person, including yourself. Okay, the series is called Chanoch L'Nar Al Pi Darko, the pasuk from Mishlei about educating a child, right? And tonight's talk is really going to focus on the last word, Darko, which means his way. We want to educate the child according to his way. Who is he or she? And that's what I want to introduce you to tonight in a really, really interesting, really fun, dynamic way that is rooted in Torah, Kabbalah, and Hasidus, and also happens to be the foundation of Chinese medicine. So I'm going to open you up to a new language if you haven't heard of these things called the elements. Raise your hands if you have heard these things called the elements. Wow, okay. That's amazing. So yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot more published about it now in the Jewish world about the elements, and certainly moving into the health and yoga world. So, okay, so you're familiar. And if you're not familiar, it's a new language and it's okay if it takes time. If you don't understand, just please let me know. I want to thank the Manchester again for inviting me back.
Of course. It's read on the first one. What else are we supposed to do?
It's so nice. It's so nice to be here in this space, in this warm, loving space. So I was here for a little bit of Rabbi Taub's talk last week, and he said in the very beginning, if you remember, you can't, if you don't, do you remember this? If you don't empathize with the way your child experiences the universe, you'll be able to educate them. Do you remember that line? Okay, so he was really talking about how do you need to connect and understand your unique child and their unique way of experiencing the world. They are a whole world unto themselves. And that's what we're going to get into here for a few reasons. Okay, this information is really important because one, we want to be able to on the basic level of wanting to educate your child, of wanting them to listen to you, right, to get along. There's a certain when you are connected to them in a heart way, when they feel seen, understood, and heard, they are much more likely to listen, to cooperate, and to want to be like you or to learn from you, right? And that's a way that we keep them safe, and we care for them. So that's one. Two, you're going to learn about their emotional makeup tonight. Each child, we're all made up of all these elements, but each child, each person has one or two dominants. You're going to really get to know what makes them tick, what upsets them, what lights them up, okay, what their dominant emotion is going to be. So when they come home from school, they're not talking to you, or they have a stomach ache because they're holding something in, you're going to be a little more attuned now to where a symptom is showing up in their body and why, okay? And we're going to learn how anger shows up as a shout and a headache, where worry shows up as a lot of clinginess and a stomach ache. So you're going to, I'm teaching you a map tonight on how to understand your children and how to connect more deeply with them, okay? So we'll get right to it. In your folders, you have a mini version of the map, okay, for you to look at. Then you have another page in there that has the map with empty open circles. That's if you want to take your own notes about the element as I move through it, or if you want to use it later and like analyze one of your children, try to fit them into the circles, okay? And then the third page is a very short summary of each element that I wrote down for you. Okay. The other flyer is advertising the course that I do. It was originally 26 weeks that I did, where I go through every single element. I would spend 4 to 5 weeks on each element with women. I've shortened it down to 12 weeks. Everyone's busy. And so it's a course that I'm giving in my office where we go much more in depth. And it's really nice. Okay, so that's what's in front of you. Also on the third page is a rough books that you can look at for further studies. So from the Jewish perspective, the author of Lavavi Mishkanet wrote a book called Getting to Know Your Soul, and he writes about these elements from a Jewish perspective. We're going to touch on that a little bit. It's a very beautiful book. And then you have 2 books written by Chinese medicine practitioners, also about the elements and how to work with them, how to identify them in your child, how to work with behavior, personality, diet, nutrition, illness. And there's one in particular, Fire Child, Water Child, which speaks directly about kids who have ADHD. And it's about giving a more open, expansive view of what's really going on. Any questions so far? Okay. So this is the map of the elements. So in Torah, in the Zohar, the Rambam, the Alter Rebbe, everyone, our sages, our Torah holds by the elements. The Torah has 4 elements it speaks of: fire, earth, water, and air. These form the foundation. I know you see some different words, I'm going to explain. These form the foundation of the physical universe that we live in. Anything you see in nature is made up of these 4 elements. So too, the Torah says, our nefesh, which is our emotional body, is composed of these elements. Okay, so all the emotions, anger, worry, frustration, sadness, these are all comprised of the elements, and you're going to learn where they belong tonight. Okay. So this is actually a foundation of Torah that could be taught in elementary schools. My young daughter was flipping through the book one day and she was like, "Oh, I'm fire," like understood right away. And when a child knows their element, they start to know themselves. They start to know their challenges. They start to know their gifts, right? Fire types, we're going to learn, can be very boisterous, very energetic, very competitive, okay? So this is really a foundation of our heritage. So too in Chinese medicine. Even more so, the sages say, and I believe Al-Alta Rebbe says, one of the main reasons we're here in this world is to work on these elements and balance them within ourselves, right? To bring all of our emotions into harmony. It means they all get expressed and channeled in the correct way. So again, really a foundation of life as we know it. If anyone has connections in the schools, feel free to let them know. We can teach our kids about the elements. Okay. Chinese, has anyone here had acupuncture? Okay. Yeah. So this is a foundation of acupuncture of Chinese medicine, the way we look at the body, the way we look at disease, God forbid, the way health flows, the way acupuncture points we choose is all through this lens. So we're going to be able to spend a little bit of time on each one so you get to know yourself and the elements. Ready? Okay. I'd like to start with, I'm going to start with water. Oh, one more thing. In the Chinese medicine lens, the metal element is air of Torah, but we use the word metal. That's why you see that there. You may want to write that down. And the wood element is extra. This is not talked about in Torah literature. It's an extra one in Chinese medicine, and I keep it in because it really helps explain a lot of personality and health. But we're going to use it as together with fire. Okay. So wood is part of fire. It's an extra. It's not in Torah literature. Not considered an element. It's a fifth that we're adding tonight. Okay. So we'll talk about water. Water represents infancy. So in my class with my students, we literally I'll pass around, everyone will have a cup of water in front of them. They'll touch the water. It's an experiential class where you can know everything, a lot of what I'm going to say just by touching, holding, and being close to an element in nature. So once I describe them all for you, you can be in the presence of somebody and just kind of feel what are they, right? Are they still water? Does the energy or what they're saying feel like a rushing river? Non-stop, going, loud. We start to understand what I'm saying as we go through it. So the first element is water. Okay, think about water in nature. You have a still lake, a rushing river, a geyser, an ocean. So many types of water. Okay, all of us have all these elements. So water is, we know, 70% of the body. Right? It makes up a lot of us. What does water represent? Water is the winter time. And it represents infancy in the life cycle. The body parts associated are everything from the hips down. So when we talk about the reproductive organs, the bladder, the kidneys, the hips, the legs, the feet, this is all water energy. The emotion of water, and I think I wrote this down for you guys on the third sheet. The emotion of water is fear. And in Torah, the midah of water is pleasure. So when we talk about balancing our character traits and the parts of us, in Torah, we're talking about pleasure, what we take pleasure in, the moderation of that. right? So think about a child, let's say, who has a dominant water type, and you want them to learn, or you want them to clean up. One thing you might want to do is make it pleasurable. Make it fun. That will make them more likely to do it, perhaps. Also, water represents, think of the ocean, death. It's the foundation of life. So these are your deep thinking children. Also, a lot of wisdom. These are the kids that have the old souls. These are the kids, think of a lake. They may not say much or do much, but there's a lot going on under the surface. Okay? Makes sense so far? Okay. The brain and the nervous system are also associated with this element. So I'm bringing up the body parts and the, so that you know, and it's not always, it's not black and white, but if there's chronic injury in a leg, right, or in the hormones, or in pregnancy, because this also represents, it's infancy, it also represents pregnancy. We're looking at water. Is there an imbalance in this energetic for a person? Okay.
Are you saying the same problem with their life and their water?
Well, not necessarily, but often in adults, for sure, when you see things like sciatica pain, low back pain, knee pain, you're looking at a water imbalance, and that's a nervous system imbalance. So a lot of stress. Obviously, you know, if there's like childbirth, things will affect that this part of the body as well. But there could be a connection, something you can think about. When there's bone pain, this is a water issue. Okay, so the children who are more fearful may be water, or they may have an imbalance in water. Their nervous system might be dysregulated. Versus, we're going to learn soon, the earth child who's going to tend more towards worry. Right? So now you have information, and you can also, when you're looking to try to understand them, you have these words that you can choose.
So are water children, are water people more comfortable in water?
Sometimes, like sometimes they can be really afraid of it. It goes either way. There's a spectrum. Yeah. Yeah. They typically have a round face. Yeah, and their skin often stays like a baby, really soft. They stay in this infant energetic.
Is it possible one person has like a few of everything?
You all have everything. You're all made up of all of them. You all have all these organs, all these body parts, right? But we each have one or two dominant. If you look around the room, right? Once I talk about it, you'll see. All your children, I'm sure, many people who have multiple children, they have all kinds of elements living with them, right?
I'm like thinking ahead.
Yeah, everybody wants to figure out.
No, I'm thinking like do a certain element like vary a certain element?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I think I heard there was like a Shastam who took that into consideration, actually, because certain elements do balance each other, as we're going to see.
Does this also have what to do with like food? Like I heard that.
Yeah, that's the episode.
Yeah, but I don't touch that part.
Okay. Well, like, curious,
But yeah, time of year, okay. And then with the children, if we see like also any delayed in growth, ADHD with inattention. I bring this up, I'm not big on labels, but I'm bringing this up also so that you understand the Darko piece, his way. And this is what one of the books I gave you wrote down about. The kids who have, let's say, called ADHD, they don't listen, that kind of child, we have to really think a little bit deeper and bigger. Because while that might be so, maybe, is it also possible that they are this very deep lake energy? And they're deep inside themselves and they're contemplating thoughts. And that's why they're not hearing you, right? Or they're still trying to figure out and process and answer the question you asked 5 minutes ago. But does it make them ADHD? Does it make them very thoughtful still?
Might not
Taking
be
you-
as fast, like they're like, think they're like in dreamland, but really they're.
Right, they're not
They're not.
necessarily. And if they are, if their brain really is, operating that way, they're still not ignoring it. It's just, they need more time, or they need, to be, stirred.
What is 3 to 7 p.m.?
So each element is associated with a certain time of day.
Oh, that's fun.
Don't touch that between.
What about that?
So this is important, 3 to 7 is when they're coming home from school.
They're what? 3 to
Right, what?
So that is the time, and that's also the time where a lot of people go for the second cup of coffee.
Yes.
What's happening is your adrenals, your reserves are getting low. This energy, the water energy is your reserves, it's water. Think of it, it's your fuel, right? Your reserves are getting low. They just worked, they studied all day. They're coming home tired, and what do they have to do? Yeah. So
3 to 7 is there.
they need to, so yes, we need to remember that they're tired. As tired as you are probably, but doesn't show as much on them, but they're tired. You might feel it as low back pain, right? And fatigue. They're gonna show it up as something else. What I like to say is, remember that, replenish them, let them be on the floor. Sometimes water kids especially, but will want to be on the floor doing their homework on the floor, not at the table. Right? Some people insist that it be a certain way. These kids need to spill out on the floor and ground. And when you want to connect with a water child, or you want to connect with your children, you can also get on the floor. I always give this example in class. The way I transition from my work day to home life, when I remember, my daughter's on the floor. When I come in, I get on the floor. And I take off my professional hat and I get into mom hat, right? I relate to them on their level. So sitting on the floor can do that. As you can see, there's so much to say, but we gotta go on. So water, again, the infancy phase, it's everything from the waist down.
I think I've had it addressed. The water is going back to that.
I mean, if we have time, we have time after I finish them, but sitting on the floor, being still, giving them time, asking them what they think about things. These are the deep thinkers, they're old souls, they wanna talk to you, they wanna explore things. Ask them what they think.
And one more question, when you're saying the time 3 to 7, you say that's their peak, that's their opposite, what were you trying to say about the time?
Just that, keep in mind that that's the time of water. So that could mean, one thing about their reserves, are they feeling tired? They might feel more vulnerable at that hour.
I think it's more like once you've designated your child an element, you know where to tap into them. If you say this is a water child between 3 and 7, then I'm slow.
Maybe,
That's what I.
but it can also apply to all children, it can apply to everyone. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're necessarily off, I'm just saying be aware. If they, what it looks like. And if you see something funny, now your mind knows, oh, they just live, it's so easy to forget, they just lived through a whole day. Of not only school, but all the social interactions. Here's another.
That's every day.
It is every kid, but remember, they all have all the elements, and here's the most important thing I think we need to remember about water kids. If I were to pour, if I were to pour juice into this cup, I don't know, a few drops of cranberry juice, what would happen? It would turn pink or red, right? It would change color immediately, the whole cup. Water kids are empaths. That means they feel and absorb everything. Their environment. They're not necessarily takers, but they're just, if they're not Until they know that about themselves and how to work with it, they're taking in everything.
Except for oil, so we water.
But I think I saw also one of the Rebbes, one of the Hasidic Rebbes.
So
Maybe-
it's sprout, right?
Yes. Yes, or if there's like a bad Wi-Fi radiation thing, they're gonna get very stirred. If there's excess noise, they're gonna get dysregulated. They're gonna feel everything, so it's very important to know about your kids and the way using your touch with them will make them feel safe and grounded and diffuse some of that energy. But this is something very important to remember about them. Very emotional. These kids are very emotional. Everything is about the deep waters, the deep, big feeling kids, very much water. Okay. Have to move on. Next up on the cycle is the wood element. So we're going from winter time, infancy, right, into spring, into early childhood. Toddler phase, early childhood. It's up on the wheel of the elements. In the springtime, think about nature going up, coming out from the ground, pushing its way out, plants, flowers, right? You see them coming up through the sidewalk. So much energy is involved to bring life up to the surface. To go from being a baby to a toddler. This is the force that's up and out. This represents childhood. Not every child, but like think of really energetic, hyperactive, constantly moving, exploring, the early crawlers. These are your wood kids.
Ready for the more growth mindset.
Yes, yes. They have a very expansive energy. They love to lead. They love to explore. They love to compete. And when you think about the force of nature, of a flower coming up through the ground, this kid can have force. And these kids are often very misunderstood and mislabeled as chutzpahdik, disrespectful, too pushy, too loud, when maybe at times they are, but maybe they're a wood kid who's not finding a way to express all that energy. So it's getting stifled and repressed, and it's showing up as anger, frustration, irritability.
That also, ADHD, but hyperactive.
Yes, exactly.
These
These
is
kids
it really, if you're labeled them? You don't know.
depends on the child, but this one will get labeled with the hyperactive, yes. Pretty early because you see it. So the water kids have round faces and baby skin. The wood kids, they're either like very lean muscle or a little more girth and muscular, but they're muscular because they're explorers. They have a broad their forehead will jut out a little bit more and they have broad eyebrow ridge. You'll see in a wood kid. You see it, you can see it in the face. Also, you'll see the water, you see the color of the element in their face. You'll see a green hue sometimes on the face or under the eyes.
When you look around the room, you see like.
Yeah. I have to, if we have time at the end,
Can you elements as a child from, not on purpose, I'm saying like there are controlling parents or controlling people or traumatic experience, can that alter a child's element?
So amazing question. A big reason why I teach this course. What if a child's been through trauma? Their element's not going to change necessarily, but it will become extremely dysregulated. So the hyperactivity is going to be at a crazy end. Or you're going to have it at its opposite extreme. They're going to be completely shut down.
So like, are there therapies that deal with the elements of the child?
So I mean, our Chinese medicine does, and that's so happy we have therapists in the room tonight who can bring it into the treatment room because when you can identify what's off. So if a child's been through trauma, that means the nervous system is the hurt, that's the water element. I know, right, that that person needs a lot of water support. That means a lot of things that soothe the nervous system, a lot of calm, a lot of safety, minimize things that are fearful for them. Check with their hormonal balance, right? Check with their sleep. That's a great, yeah, thank you so much for bringing it up. One of my teachers, though, he'll say that he'll work with people for 15 years and their elements change. Like, you thought they were something and then they go through a transformation and there's something else. So sometimes it could be hidden because the trauma.
All of it, because probably the patterns of the and their experience of life.
Yeah, for sure. They have the exposure.
People evolve.
People evolve. Yeah.
Mary's a different part of you.
Yeah, you can bring out, yeah, and like you can bring out different parts, but your core elements don't change. Okay. So the wood organs are the liver and the gallbladder, the sinuses, the head and the neck. So neck pain, migraines, chronic allergies, any illnesses, God forbid, in the liver, gallbladder, when thinking about this element. This element controls the menstrual cycle, blood flow. So you might see this in adolescent women. It's regulated. And in the children, when this is off, you're going to see it as a shout. So these are louder children. They say things with more of a shout. So when they're angry, they're going to shout. Versus the water child who might hold it in or might muddle under their breath. Yeah. Okay. How do you calm wood? How do you calm wood? It's going to be the last element we learn. Really, every element that comes before the other is its mother. We call it its mother element. So you can take care and nourish any element with the element before it. So the mother of wood is water. So if I have a really angry, frustrated kid struggling with self-esteem, what's something I can do? I can nourish the water. That means I'm checking on their sleep, their hormonal health, their nervous system, something dysregulating them, causing all that anger. Different interventions that support them. You can also support an element by matching it, right? So next week, I think maybe said we're learning eye and sola. The eyes are associated with the wood element. So I can look at my child who's struggling with positive eyes and respect. These children love to be respected. I can't say this enough. These are very independent, free thinkers. They are sometimes allergic to your parenting. If it's not done right, they're just done. They can be defiant. Okay. And the problem is some people think, they need to be controlled, but they're allergic to control. So there can be more rebellious, absolutely. But they won't rebel if they feel seen and respected and supported. Then they will grow and they'll expand and they'll become themselves. They won't have to fight you, right? And rebel to get what they need, to get their needs met. So be careful with this element. This could be your most challenging. It's your most challenging. Yeah. What? They're either like tall and lean muscular or shorter stature and muscular, but they're strong. They can climb trees. But on the other side of the spectrum, they might be weak. But you'll see the same shapes if they're not supported, or sometimes if there's things happening in utero, early childhood, or in infancy, that might affect them as well. Okay? You can do a lot. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. with holistic medicine, you can replenish a lot easier. Always. Okay, let's move into fire. Fire represents the adolescent phase of life. So we went from infancy, toddlerhood, now we're in adolescence. And we're in the summer, we're in summer. Also in my class, I usually go through the season. So, you know, I'll go through the Jewish holidays. They also correspond so beautifully to the elements. Hanukkah's in the water, the oil, like there's so much to talk about with oil and water. And Hanukkah, wood is Nisan, the Ula, the birth, right? Getting out of Egypt, this is the wood element. Fire, we're in now, right? We're moving into Shavuos very soon. This is fire season. Think of a fire, it usually have a flame lit, but a flame, we have the cup of water, I forgot to show you my little wood, but fire dances. It's always right. Or a fire will dance if that's its movement of nature, or it will be still. So depends on its environment, its source. So your fire children can be you have two types of fire. There's the fires that are like a little tea light. We're still Shabbos candle. Quiet, maybe shy. They like one-on-one. They might be introverted. One-on-one communication. And you have then your dancing flame, your bonfires, your very social, love to be in the spotlight fire kids. Take pictures, like these are the kids that love to have their picture taken. They love their clothes changed a million times. They want every accessory. Yeah. Yeah. And why this is important to know is so that you can see them and God forbid not find it annoying and react in a certain way when they're asking you, you know, for their 17th outfit in, you know, a week, or they're late for school because they can't make the outfit work. And we could so easily, uniform, sorry. Okay, so you have, that one's easy, but what about Sunday? When you understand this child and that this is so important to them, you will have more patience and you will help them on their journey, their dark code. Remember that pasuk, their way. Their way is, no, it's really important that I have a different outfit today. It's really important my headband matches my shirt. And you can sweep in instead of saying, but we're late, you know, and just, you can say, it's so important. Let me help you find a match. And you feel their heart. You feel their heart, you calm them down. And they're like, you know, it's like mom's my friend. And you get through it so much faster. You get, you know, which is important. Everyone's busy and, you know, in the hustle and bustle of life, you just want to get go, go, go and get it done. But when you can tap into their passion and what's important to them, oh my God, you fill holes in their heart. They align with you. Mom gets me. That's the best mom, right? And I feel like they're more connected, and then it's so much easier to have. And then you know when they do their project, right? The fire kids, they're gonna want glitter and big and loud. Like it's gonna be involved, right? Whereas we go later soon to the metal child, they want it clean, black and white, no frills, no color, right? So you can better work with them. Complexion, the way they look, they may have more of a reddish tint. They're not all redheads, but they may have more redness in their skin. They have smaller eyes. They may have a heart-shaped chin. Okay. This element is so important. It was a series I did here. The emotions of this element is love, joy, laughter, bless you, singing. This is everything connected with the heart, the ability to have relationships, the ability to be warm, the ability to have a boundary and understand who they are, what they want. This is this element. So it's not just about the fire kid, it's about the fire in all of our kids. Yeah.
So So let's say, even if you don't know which element, it's not hard to see that your child thinks differently than you. But that's the whole problem, like, you don't get that, let's say, you're saying, I can understand the need, let's say,
Yeah.
for a lot. So you can understand it and still not know how to just embrace it because that's the way she sees her. Is there a place for a parent to say, that I'm a parent, so I understand that you want something that fit, and yet, you know.
Yeah.
we can.
So I had this question in my class and her daughter, teenage daughter needed, like, wanted a new outfit for a Shabbaton. And she's like, but you have 5, you just had Yom Tov, like, I'm not getting another one, right? But you could say it like that, like, but it's not happening. And that child may feel shut down, unheard. And she said to her mother, you just don't get it. You don't get it. And I said to my student, I said, she's right. You don't, because you don't care. Like, this mother never cared what she wore, sweatshirt and sweat, like skirt, fine for her. Her daughter, makeup, hair, everything is done perfect. So I said, you don't get it. She's like, right. So all you have to do, she doesn't have to buy her the outfit, just say, sorry, I don't. It's like so hard for you. It's so nice to have new clothes. I get it. I'm telling you, just meeting them where they are, they can let it go much more easily. And then you can say, because then when they come, instead of like, when they've come, when there's a space and an in, and you learn with your kids where that is, then you can say, can I help you put together something different?
So they get it. You're saying I get it, but I can't, but you know.
Sometimes you'll lean in and you'll be like, you know what, you're right. You see, you've worn all these things, you know.
Other classes. Like, maybe,
Not
if your
that
child is a
not that
fire,
they
what,
clash,
turn your husband and say, you do that.
not that they clash, but we're gonna get into Earth soon, and Earth can be really stubborn. It's not clashing, it's just, some of them are harder to work with. I have another example that I like to share of the wood element. I forgot to say this. Wood represents early childhood. Wood represents early childhood. So play, right? Little kids play. Wood kids and adults like to play. So that might, later in life, it might look like sports, hobbies. Play is an important part of that. So, okay. So playfulness. So I want. Okay. I can do it. I can do it. So I love to give this example, and so it was like from Hashem. When you'll see, the more you work on it, and you commit to really becoming expanding and compassionate to the elements in your life, Hashem helps. I was doing something with my daughter. I was so tired, but pushing myself to help her with something. And I asked her to pass me something, and she dropped it. And I was like, so annoyed. I was like, so tired. So I picked it up. And then I asked her for something else, I think, and then again dropped it. And I was like, so frustrated and still holding it in because I really just want to stay close and we're working on, our relationship. And then after the third time, Shem helped me. And I realized she hadn't been with any kids back then. And she was playing. She was being funny, like, she was giving a gag with a friend, like just making it fall, And I got it. And I was like, in my head, I didn't say it to her. I was like, oh, she's playing. And I just laughed. Like, I see what you're doing. And I was able to roll with it and we stayed connected and finished the task, right? I could have so easily done something, right? Complain, whine, like stopped, not healthy, right? But I was like, she's playing, and I just laughed, and she saw I got it, and we moved. This is the power of this work, to stay in attachment. Yeah. They're both this upward energetic. They both are anger. That's their challenge. Fire and wood people, their challenge is anger, easily upset. Easily bored also, these kids, easily bored. So you're like, wow, it's so entertaining. We have to go on, and we have a few minutes left. Earth child. The earth element is later in the summer. This represents the digestive organs, between the stomach. This is the earth we step on. It's a very stable, hopefully very sturdy element. The heart, and the pericardium that wraps around the heart, and the small intestine. And I think it's written down for you already in the printout. The earth element, sturdy. These are the kids. These are the easiest kids. Usually because they are like mommy's helper. Right? They're not the big fire, energy, anger. They're not the waters that are in their own world. They're with you in the kitchen. They're helping you. You ask them, they do it. More friendly, more present. Depends on a lot of things. They're just easier. There's just no, they're just a little bit easier. However, because of that, these kids can be challenged in not knowing their own needs because they take care of everybody else. So like nurses and heads of schools tend to be earth people, very good at caring for others, but not so much for themselves. So they can fall into the trap of people pleasing, not having a voice. It may show up as IBS, right? The organs. Yes. It's very interesting. The other thing is it has to do, they can be very stubborn. They can be really helpful and amazing, but they can be really stubborn. Think of the earth as like a flame I can put out, right? Water I can spill. There's not much I can do with this ground. They can just stay really stuck a little bit longer than another energetic. So like maybe harder to help them with learn a certain habit, change a habit. Their thinking might be really stubborn. Okay. And the way they look is they often have a little bit more of like a square shape in the head, just like sturdy, muscular, but also on the opposite end, if they're weak in their earth, weak in their digestive system, weak in some aspect of home, they'll be low tone, weak core. Okay, and they're also important. Earth's really important. Think about food, nourishment, mealtime. Earth represents home. In the Jewish calendar, I associate this element with Tammuz and Av, where we're mourning the Beis Hamikdash. The earth element represents the house, home, the environment we create. Are they whole bodies? Good question. Maybe. They're more attached. No, we're about to get into that type. Ready? Last element. We move down the cycle into autumn. So we got red, winter, and summer. We're in autumn, what we call metal element, with towards air. This is like fall, Tishrei, Elul Tishrei time, my favorite time of year. This is such an important element for parents. This represents the parents, okay? Because we get from infant, child, adolescent, maturity to the elder. So now you're about to learn now what this energy is, but this is the parent. So what is this? The Torah codes of air. This is your speech, your breath, your pace of life. How you speak to yourself. The fire danced, this element is in the movement of its energy. Think about the lungs, taking in oxygen, expanding and releasing. Expanding and releasing, that is this element. The lungs and the large intestines are the organs. So this element can go like this, and it's also about letting go, same thing. How quickly do I let go of my anger? right? How quickly do I reset? What is my pace? What are the words I'm using in my phone? Am I using, right? Am I praying? Am I using my Tehillim? Am I using my breath for positivity? This element, right? It goes like this. So on the chart, there's an inner dynamic between the elements. This element goes to the wood, fire. So this ability to guide and to channel my fiery wood kids, my kids basically, right, is this element. This is the parent energy. Am I too rigid in my thinking and my behavior with my child, or can I expand and see more, give them more space, give them time to speak, give them the breath, space to them? And before I go on, this element can be the OCD type. They're very particular. When you think about the word metal, think about jewelry, right? Precious gems, that's this energy. These are the people with very high attention to detail. They a lot like, so people who become interior designers, architects, mathematicians, what? This is the perfectionist energy. Organizers, okay, everything needs to be a certain way. Your child flips out when one letter goes off in one direction in the homework and then has to redo it, right? So when you know this about them now, instead of telling them they can't redo it, or it's too late, or did it so many times, it will result in not good, right? In a fight, you can now see, and it's not something you can change. So in my class, I give out pieces of metal when we study this element, and I have people hold it, and I say, what do you feel? What do you learn about metal through this? And one woman said, I just want to bend it. I just said it won't bend. Right? Right? She's like holding and gave out earrings or something, and she's like, I just wanted to bend it, it won't. It's exactly. Ladies, you cannot change that. No matter what you say, and definitely not with force. Definitely not a metal child. They are so sharp. You know, you're being sharp, smart, quick-witted, perfectionist people. You can't change them. Their homework needs to be perfect. And you can support that. And how do you do that? How do you get this to be flexible? You can't force it, bring it. What you can do is, how do you get this to change? Fire, you melt it, you soften it. So what do we do? How does fire show up in us? How can we do that? Well, look at the math.
Love.
Fire, love, exactly. Understanding, compassion, and love. This element, look, fire controls the metal element. When you put your heart into your parenting, into your speech, into your touch, you create an opening in these kids. And it gets so much easier. So much easier.
Is there any elements that wouldn't get affected by love and
No, I mean, love is amazing everywhere and we want it, but with this particular element, it's vital.
I like with
It's
water.
vital.
That's what
Or they get too out of balance, right? They get too rigid, and it's really difficult for them in life and in their bodies. This is the element that gets hit in constipation. Okay.
You know, you're saying like, let's say like a water supply like very deep, and they don't necessarily need warmth. You know, they need like intellectual, like conversation. They don't necessarily need to hug.
Right.
But you're saying like, of
Exactly.
course it helps. You need your heart, but some children react differently to different things. You try to like hug a kid and that's not what they need.
Exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't, you know,
Yeah.
hurt.
But you can give your heart. You don't have to hug to give your heart.
Right.
Even just your understanding, like when they're freaking out about the details of the homework, and you just observe with love.
Instead of getting frustrated.
Yeah. You just Wow.
but you let them do that.
And when there's there's not much you can do in the middle of a freak out. You can't console someone when they're angry and
You could tell them it doesn't have to be put that.
they
No,
know.
I will never do that.
No. I think
Because
that-
their whole experience is the need for.
Is order
So
and
telling them that
perfection.
Doesn't have, right. The automatic, that's their basic. So you're just talking Chinese, literally. So you don't get it because the baseline is, it has to be.
And wrapping up the emotion of this element is grief. So the ability to grieve, to mourn loss is this element because it's the letting go. Can I let go? So, and this is something we have to do all the time as parents, as people in the world. Ideally, is we reset and we let go as quickly as we can because before you know it, there's another thing happening. And if I'm holding on, I'm stuck.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. Wow, that was a lot to process in a very short amount of time. However, if anybody has like a more, I don't know, personal question, something that they want to express, maybe they don't feel comfortable saying it out loud. You guys have been, yeah. So we could do that, but let's give like 1 minute just to write down any questions that come up. You can write it down on your head and give it to me, and then we can have her address down today. That would. So unless. What? Sure. I could
Do
do
you
that.
guys hear the way you talk? Yeah. What do you notice about it?
Very different from the way you're.
This is the elements in action. I'm talking very slowly. I'm in slow talk. I'm thinking for seeing me.
People, literally, I got this as a compliment recently. The really young girls, like in their 20s, are telling me, "You are so awesome because you talk on 1.5."
So this is a result of me and my journey. And I needed to calm my waters and I slowed my life down a lot. Things I do, how I do it, and my voice. So it may not be really, I don't know. Compared to maybe, do you hear the song in her voice? Yes, with Earth. It's up and down here, and she speaks, but also there's a little bit of sing. Kind of sing. That's Earth. That's Earth. Me, slow, water, like down here, deeper voice.
But accents have distinct, people in different locations have different stronger elements, like, I mean, like, you know, like, British people have different personalities.
Right, Israelis probably a lot more metal than the British, right? That perfection. I want you to know on the way here, it's so funny, so on the way here, I was like, I should probably apologize before I start that I am a slow talker.
No, you
But it's good, but it's so good. It's so good because to notice what triggers you, right?
Yeah.
You're like jumping, right? What if I was your child?
You and I could be.
This is really important. Like if my child has a lot of wood and fire, it's very hard to my waters. It's too, sometimes she's always playful, always energetic, and you want to know when you're being triggered, and so that you don't react, but you respond and you notice, oh, it's just fire, and I'm in my place, and how can we, how can we meet? So it's good to notice what happens in your body, right? Your leg was shaking, like.
All right.
Parents with a certain element has a problem that element, they understand that the most.
Sometimes not.
I think so, because you get it. You get it. You have the same likes, you operate the same way.
You favor them, but.
No, but opposite, because I feel like I have.
They can trigger it.
You're at odds. That's true.
It
either, like, I don't know.
Like it, right. Just good to know it. Yeah.
that, if I want to accept it myself, they're not allowed to be child to be done. And they want to very much.
Awesome.
It's the whole like look, it's like when you're saying the child looks like this, like, isn't it looks like this? Like, I feel like I have like a fire child, and it's big eyes, it doesn't have a little.
Right, it's not-
Big eyes, so like.
So, right, it's not like, it's not black and white, as you can see, it's color and it's always moving. So the eyes could be a lot, she may have a lot of water in her eyes, a lot of big deep eyes, right? That are a fire face,
What's the fire child?
a little more narrow.
Yeah, okay, Miriam, it's not working out, because I have big eyes and a round face.
It's not so easy. It's not really. Fire me up curly hair.
Oh,
Yes.
it's not thinking or it's like curly.
That's interesting. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know why I feel like saying it.
There's something probably how to do that. Yeah, because they have everything.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that drives them. I can't.
They're
But I don't know if I can. I can't experience that, but so it's more like, yeah, I get, yeah.
Let's kind of facilitate this a little bit, so we all pull us back together a little bit. Because we do have like 9 minutes left, so we all have to go, and we do want to respect everyone's time. So, first of all, this was like beyond amazing so far, it was like amazing, and I'm hoping that everybody's walking out with like something specific that's gonna help them, like go forward, change, do something differently, like think differently. And Miriam said that she would have to like kind of meet you a little bit more to kind of point out your elements. So you're gonna have to like come on back to Miriam's practice, hang out with her a little bit, maybe we could do like a 26-week course, how many?
It's 12 weeks now. It's shorter than.
I don't know, Miriam, I have a hard enough time getting people to sign up for 3 weeks around here.
Talk about being slow to change. I was like, it has to be 26 weeks. How can you learn it without it? And that's what I did for 2 rounds. And then I was like, no, what everyone was telling me made sense.
Yeah,
Sure.
right. I totally get that, even 12 weeks is a lot, but I feel like there might be some people here who might be like, yes, this is my thing, let's do it for 12 weeks, but yeah.
But there's books, if you want to learn more, there's books that I gave you references. You can learn a lot of this on your own.
Have you written the book? Yeah,
Nice.
we're
waiting.
Yeah, getting there. Does anyone have like any final questions that we can wrap up with, anything more specific that we want to ask? Yeah.
How do you help a struggling child?
Take a smaller course.
So, no. So what do you do? Okay, great, important question. I think. One, by knowing, if you know their dominant element, you know probably what they like, what makes them sick, right? So, for example, a mental child. Who's struggling. Order, like neatness and order is very important to them. And maybe they can't do it because they're struggling. You help them so much. You can keep them not, you can let go of the principal or if it should be doing it. No, she's struggling. It's so important. I'm gonna help her so she can do it again. Child, or you use your heart in all of this. You already recognize the struggle. That's half of it, right? That's a big part of it. So you let them know somehow. I see it. They also always don't want to talk about the struggle. So what can you do is supports their whole system. This is their body. This is their whole emotional body and physical body. You can support. You can clean the room for her. I don't know who this is, right? But so it's her. You can clean the room. You can make the foods she loves. The earth element. The kids who don't eat.
Oh, now, I really love you.
There you go.
Make their favorite dish. Take them to the supermarket. Some kids, they wanna pick their own foods. They wanna cook with you. Heart, make quality time. The time with them, speak to them where they're at, not talk at them. Okay, look at them with a good eye, boost their self-esteem, whatever they do right, praise. Even it's the same thing every day. Right, the very OCD kid with the homework, praise. Water, make sure they're getting enough sleep, checking with their hormones.
But say have an insomnia.
Yeah. The insomnia can also be fire. Too much energy. Anxiety is usually here, fire.
I don't help with that insomnia.
Did that make sense? Sorry.
I'm sorry. I want to just like for a second, a little deeper. What if I'm not going to do inner child work or anything, but like, let's say, I'm looking at this, we're doing it for other people as well. What if, I'm just saying, as adult, we never, let's say, got this. Can we use these things to work on heal ourselves?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, thank you, Hashem. I'm glad you brought that up. Absolutely. And that's a reason I think many people like learn, right? Because they didn't get it, they don't know how to, right? But you start recognizing the elements, bring your own elements into balance, feed your elements, nurture your God, do things that are fun, tend to your heart, calm your anxiety, make sure you're getting sleep. Don't talk to yourself with an unkind voice, the inner critic, that's the metal element, right? Picking apart all the wrong things instead of praising all of your good. As you come into harmony, you'll be able to give it over, right? That was said before, you have to own it. And we know from Torah, Mitol Shelo Lishma Ba Lishma. Even though I don't feel it, I don't get it, I never got this element, I don't know, but I'll just pretend and I'll try and I'll sit on the floor because that's what I said when I was told, right? And it becomes a part of your nature. You feel. Absolutely.
That's a really great place to end. But although I do not want to end, I think we'd all love to hear more.
But we have to self-care. That's it.
Thank you, everybody, and go home and get some sleep. Thank you all for coming to us.
Thank you very much.
That's me.
I'll say you.
Like they're making people suck them.
That's what it makes so much sense.
Right. Guys.
Like, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
Guys, do you want to change?
I'm related, if he's wood, yeah, could be.
It's like, if I would start asking questions, I'd be kind of saying, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. Good deep. They're so soft. That in mind. So that's the same.
Show me the paper with, Not the
Nora was in there. Yes, yes. I know.
From prison. Taking off, things are taking off. Yeah. You want to take on it? Like,
Have a good night.
Thank you, it's so nice,
I'm so glad.
so eye-opening.
Yeah. Sure.